no secret to anybody who knows me that the Metroid series is my absolute favourite gaming franchise of all time. However, in recent years it seems pretty clear that Nintendo's been leaving the franchise for dead.
The last game we were given was all the way back in 2010, and we've had nothing new since then, other than the promise of a spin-off game that pretty much nobody is looking forward to. Which is especially confusing given it's Metroid's 30th anniversary.
So yeah, it's pretty clear that Metroid's future is looking a bit more than just pessimistic. So I decided I'd take a look at where it all started to go downhill. Metroid Other M. Blech.
Co-developed by Team Ninja,
Why?
Other M was made as an attempt to have a higher focus on telling a cinematic story, while also acting as a more direct conversion to 3D for the Metroid series, in comparison to the Prime games, which made everything first person.
So you're pushing all your eggs into the story basket, are you? Why don't we start off by looking at that then?
Other M takes place immediately after Super Metroid, and the plot revolves around Samus receiving a distress call from an abandoned space station. While there, Samus finds a small group of Galactic Federation troops under the leadership of her own commanding officer back from before she started bounty hunting. They all team up and it becomes their mission to find out what threw the bottle ship into disarray.
I'm gonna be brutally honest and just start off by saying, story's pants.
It's good that we're getting more in-game coverage of Samus's backstory, but this is almost always portrayed through flashbacks, covered by an emotionless monologue from Samus herself.
This is not engaging. It is not entertaining. This is boring. And the way it's presented does not help in the slightest.
There are also the various points where Other M openly contradicts the universe the rest of the franchise has spent 24 years building, to the point where one has to completely ignore the Prime games in order for it to make any sense. Which it still doesn't.
Because why not?
It's also not just related to the lore of Metroid, but also in the way that Samus and other recurring characters are portrayed. I'm not going into too much detail because of the spoilers, but for a Metroid fan, it's actually painful. Not to mention the times where certain major plot points are simply dropped halfway through the game for no reason. It's pretty much a gigantic mess, which is incredibly disappointing in comparison to the rest of the series. I don't have a problem with them trying to take the series in new directions.
The problem is you didn't check your writing, you clods!
The game runs at 60 frames per second and is obviously well bug tested because I never encountered a frame dip or glitch. There's also the aspect of animation, which is buttery smooth and very over enthusiastic in combat, which I can really appreciate given how seriously the game tries to take itself everywhere else.
And this is the point where the party train stops for this game. Choo-choo.
The graphics themselves aren't bad per se, but I can't help but feel they could have been better. Especially in regards to things like textures, with the incredibly low resolution lava being an outstanding example. You know, I'm pretty sure they had this nailed down in like GameCube era. I do realise that different studios will have different ways of developing games. It just seems weird. However, this is not the same case with the few pre-rendered cutscenes in the game. These are beautifully animated, with the opening recreation of Super Metroid's End being absolutely breathtaking. The rest of the game really doesn't reflect this though.
Speaking of Super Metroid, Other M takes a lot of inspiration from it in design and other aspects. And by that I mean it reuses so much from the older games that anything new is completely forgettable.
This was also the case with the music, which was a massive disappointment considering how every Metroid game is able to use remixes of classic tracks while still adding an enormous amount of brand new tunes that instantly become just as memorable. This is completely not the case with Other M. Most of the time I could barely pick out the music, and whenever I could, it was either an already existing song, or some generic background music that could have been in any game.
The funny thing is, I would have been able to forgive the game for the terrible story and lackluster presentation if the game itself had actually been good.
And the game certainly does have a myriad of good ideas that could have made the game fun. Keyword being could. The main hindrance is the controls. Instead of using the nunchuck attachment or even a classic controller, Team Ninja deemed that clearly the best way of controlling a game that takes place in 3 dimensions is by holding the Wii Remote on its side and using the D-pad. You know, the control scheme designed for 2D!
I cannot even begin to explain how utterly uncomfortable this is.
Playing for more than 45 minutes caused my thumbs to actually hurt. Movement and precise platforming becomes incredibly difficult because of how poorly adapted the D-pad is to handling this movement. And this isn't even the worst part. Other M has a mechanic where the player can switch between third and first person by flipping the Wii remote around and pointing it at the screen. But the game often requires the player to switch mid-combat. While the game has a very handy dodge move implemented for third person combat, there's nothing for when you're in first person, meaning you will take unnecessary damage.
This is not good game design! It's not. It's really not.
One of the more interesting things that Team Ninja added is a faster paced, more action-oriented combat system. The level design is significantly more linear than every other Metroid game, with an incredibly small emphasis on exploration, not for lack of trying, I might add. The combat, however, is not difficult to get a hold on. Samus' arm cannon has auto aim, and tapping the D-pad just before an enemy hits allows the player to dodge pretty much every attack and immediately charge the beam to full. Now the combat is definitely simple, but it's actually a little cathartic. It would have been even better if the controls didn't suck, but I really would like to see a game in the Metroid universe that fully takes advantage of some gameplay like this.
Metroid Other M had a lot of potential.
Samus could do with some more character development from the story, and it'd be awesome to see Metroid branch out into a more action-oriented style for a clear spin-off title, not too dissimilar to The Legend of Zelda and Hyrule Warriors from last year. This does not make up for the fact that Other M is still pretty abysmal, not just as a Metroid game, but down to the very core of the game itself.
Other M could have been significantly better than it ended up being, simply with a better control scheme. However, what we're left with is a massive waste, and if you're a Metroid fan, a disgusting taste in the mouth. I'm Adam Jones, this has been my informal review of Metroid Other M. See you guys next mission. If there is one.
Hey everyone, Spirit Randomness here, just wanted to say thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is technically the second time I've done a video on Other M, as I had to do the review in 2 different styles for college. Again, finished this a while ago, but I just forgot about it and didn't like it as much as the other one, so it took me ages to get back around to uploading it, but that's why we're here now, yay! As always, credits and social media links are in the description. This is the last of my college projects, so no idea when you're getting the next video sadly, but whenever that is, I will see you then. Bye!